Yeah, I know John and I have you watched nykytyne2's recent videos on ethics, where he's sort of battling himself?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's brilliant. The almost schizophrenic multi-personality, I think, is a good just underlying kind of way to look at things. That it's more complexity than initially things seem to be, even in ourselves. So
yeah, I guess we could start with ethics. I mean, I know you you're an atheist, and you obviously think that there's a way to preserve morality and ethics independent of any theological worldview, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So how do you ground your ethical system? Granted that there's some ambiguity there for you in light of these last two videos, but how do you approach the topic?
I mean, I know you hate doing this, but suppose we were to start in sort of a place of Cartesian skepticism.
Let's do it.
Where we know what it feels like to have desires, to feel pleasure, to feel pain, and we can infer that other people have similar sensations, that other people have desires and wishes, and can feel pain and suffering just as we can, and we can empathize with them. We have the imaginative power to put ourselves in their place and act in a way that benefits not only our own selves, our own interests, but also the interests of other minds.
Right. Yeah. So empathy then would be the basis of morality.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. And you said we have to begin with a sort of Cartesian skepticism to arrive.
We don't have to, but we could.
Right. Well, I mean, it would almost seem to me though that it's sort of, while Descartes' sort of skepticism involves reflection,
right? I
think empathy with others is sort of immediate. When you see someone who's in pain, you just feel their pain. Not literally.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's much more immediate than that. You're right. I mean, Descartes' skepticism is. I mean, he didn't even believe that for a second. That was just his method. That's something you only come to through thinking about it a lot. Immediately, there's no question that other people have experiences like your own.
Right. Yeah. I would hope not, but a lot.
One would hope not. Exactly. Yeah.
But there's something too reflecting on it. After all said and done, after the immediate event is done, you have time to go back and sip a little wine and reflect on it. Is there something to that dimension that complexifies and matures your empathy? Would you say that's accurate, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe we could just make a distinction between ethics and morality, where ethics is sort of the practical action in the day-to-day world, and then when you come up with a moral philosophy, that's when you start reflecting on, wait a minute, maybe that ethical decision I made in the heat of battle wasn't exactly as moral as it could have been.
That's right.
The heat of battle.
Well, when you're in day-to-day life, you don't always have a chance to reflect upon what the most moral action might be in that situation.
To sit there for an hour thinking about whether you're not going to give someone a transplant or so. Yeah.
Right. You don't have time to think about these things.
And we're talking about ethics. I like how movies, especially a movie we just saw, District 9. I don't know if you've seen that, Nick, yet.
What movie? District 9. No, I haven't seen it.
It ultimately comes out to be a very strong ethical movie. There's lots of questions. Amongst all this action and some comical scenes, there are some really ethical dilemmas in the movie, which I think is good. That's promoted in it's a popular kind of meme. So is it infiltrating pop culture these days, ethics? Through movies like The Matrix, movies like District 9. Is that the way to do it? Is our sound okay?
Yeah. It's fine.
I think there's usually a lot of movies have some kind of ethical message in them. I mean, even the most named superhero movie usually makes some attempt at some kind of ethical situation. Well, I remember the most recent, The Dark Knight, the Batman movie. Had a bunch of stuff in that. There was one scene I remember where the Joker has these two boats full of people. One's all prisoners and one's all just regular people, and he's trying to get them to blow each other up or something.
Right. And then you see the regular people getting triggered.
They're getting ready to do it.
And then you actually see the criminal do one of the most ethical things, and he throws it out. And says, "We're the bad guys." It's so they're trying to. I mean, I guess it's the skillful means. Is that right? Just the right director knows how to do it the right way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I guess. Where else could we go with that?
Well, ethics is a big thing. We don't have to abandon it so far. I mean, a lot of people get into serious arguments about ethics, and when do we put in relativism? How big of a postmodern kind of worldview do you adapt? What's healthy in your view before it goes too mushy, gushy, gushy?
Well, I mean, that's a difficult question because you do have these striking examples of other cultures where things are completely different. Like, am I allowed, for example, to condemn someone, an Islamic extremist who kills their own daughter because she left the religion or something? Yeah. And I mean, I almost can't help condemning them, but on the other hand,
that seems like an easier question to answer. I mean, when it's taking someone's life, but what about, like, the headscarves and whatnot? Do you think women should be forced to dress like that?
Well, that stuff, I mean, that's relatively minor. I mean, I don't have any huge objection to women wearing headscarves. The burqa, it's a little more it's a little more up in the air because a lot of times the women wearing those things are not doing so of their own, they're not making a fashion statement. They have a man in their life enforcing this.
Where was it was it Lebanon recently that a woman was wearing pants in public and she
was sentenced to death for wearing pants, right?
Was it death or just lashings or something?
Oh, it was like the lashing equivalent of a death sentence, like 40 lashings or something.
Man.
Yeah. There's a part of you that just says, what the fuck is going on? That's ridiculous.
I think that's, I mean, but see, just if we can all agree that that's ridiculous, another moral question is, should we actually go to Lebanon, invade it, and actually try to change it?
That's that I got brought up with Professor Anton, actually, is the concept of, and you're going to get a lot of people hissing and moaning at this, a one world type of governing system body.
Right. But it's almost as though to try to fix the problem would cause, at least initially, more violence and death than the problem itself.
Causing more problems.
Yeah, this is also seen in movies. I mean, more absolute power, would that corrupt? Absolutely. I mean, I think I've seen a video where you've actually quoted that and tried to explain about that. Yeah. But it just seems like, what do you do? This is just this dilemma. Do we just let him be, or do we go absolute? Ron Paul, libertarian, just, you guys go for it. How about it, So what? I mean, how do you deal with some of these questions where you see the truth, the grain of truth that they bring to the perspective? Like, there's a party that nods, like that makes sense, but at the same time, it conflicts. This is strange.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, Nicotine. Do you think that there is, in any way, a good, a capital G good, that's greater than any particular cultural good that sort of has authority over what any particular worldview may think is good? Or do you think that that's just an illusion?
I don't think so. I don't think that exists. I think good is a creation of our own minds, and our own minds are, of course, running a lot of cultural software that are influencing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there are some basic ideas that are so a part of who we are, biologically speaking, that pretty much all of us, with the exception of, say, sociopaths, have these intuitions and feelings. Yeah. But I don't think there's like a good floating out in the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think someone else watching this might interpret that like you take the stance of Amendum. He thinks there's an objective, fact of suffering. So not suffering would be objectively good for him.
Right.
And then you try to say, well, that there's a subjective spin. Not that it's wrong. Or an intersubjective spin. But he says, no, you're fucked-hearted. It has to be. It is an objective kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. Amendum, he does that. Suffering is fucking objective. He always does that. I've never been able to figure out what he means by that. Because to me, it seems like suffering, pleasure, color, all of that is fairly subjective. Right. So I can't even figure out what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with the underlying message that he's trying to convey, just not with the way he tries to convey it.
Right, like I usually agree with the conclusions he draws, but the way he comes to the conclusions is weird.
Right.